Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Kaplan. Most of you know me. If you don't, it's nice to meet you. I am a fitness professional. I've been at this for quite some time, and I'm joined today by my very good friend and colleague. Her name is Dr. Kristin Comella. And Kristin and I have been working very closely together. If you haven't seen our podcast ever, you should check it out and then send us your feedback and criticisms. And normally we tackle some controversial topics and some health topics, and we are connected by this idea of getting people to be their absolute best. And Kristin, in an email that I sent out, I said to people, it feels like the world shook, doesn't it?
Took it upside down, shook it as hard as it could.
Somehow everything just feels different, and it seems to change from, I said, before we started, I was talking, I said it changes like from minute to minute. So these are untraveled waters. We're trying to make sense out of it, and just when we think we're making sense out of something, it takes a turn, and somebody kind of shakes the whole world again. So Kristin is a stem cell scientist. I can spend a lot of time praising her for all the great work she's done and impressing you guys with her credentials. But what's most important is right now we are helping people heal. We are helping people get better. We are helping people become their absolute best. And we do it at a place called Biohackers. Kristin, you want to give just a really quick overview of what Biohackers is? Because it's not a gym, and it's not medical, and it's not a fitness center. It's something else.
Yeah, when I originally was kind of coming up with the idea of putting this facility together, my thought is the world needs help. And there's some really neat technology out there that we can utilize to help people harness their greatest potential, which is already inside them. So by utilizing some of these different modalities, we can really tap in to your inner cell potential. And this is a term that's kind of gaining in popularity, biohackers. The concept is to hack your biology, become the best version of yourself, and really heal from the inside.
And while we use modalities of exercise and nutrition and meditation and yoga, we're also using science, but the interesting thing is the science that we use replicates what's available to us in nature. It's just that people aren't in nature anymore. So we have things that deliver negative ions, which you normally get in a rainforest or at the beach. We have things that deliver infrared, which you normally get from sunlight, but people don't get sunlight. So we're putting this whole thing together in a manner that helps people get well. And we're going through a lot of the bumps in the road and coming forward over those bumps because we're new and we're different and people aren't used to us. And now finally we're seeing people change their metabolisms and improve their brain function and reverse chronic disease. And as we're on this upswing, this virus hits. And really it just feels like life interrupted. So I've invited to join us tonight the members of Biohackers, but we have a really mixed audience. I have a consulting roundtable group with fitness professionals who've been with me for years. I've invited them to be here tonight. There are some health professionals and doctors, physicians, chiropractors who I'm affiliated with who have also been invited here tonight. And then there are those people who've gone through my programs, including the Metabolic Reboot. So it really is a mix. And I don't have a beginning and an end to this webinar in mind. I just felt like let's open up a dialogue because I've been paying attention. I've been watching CNN and MSNBC. I get Fox News if I have to, and trying to make sense out of it. In addition, I've been attending industry roundtables in the health club industry, in the fitness field, and in business. And it seems that there are far more questions than answers. So what things do I know to be certain? Some. They're few and far between right now, but there are some. And Kristin and I speak at length, and we said, okay, what are the things that we can share that all of these audiences will benefit from? And let's start with just some of what we don't know. We don't know how many cases there are. We can point fingers, we can talk about the testing. The fact is, we don't know. We don't know what the death toll will be in the United States or in Canada. We don't know. But Kristin, you have at least a statistic that you wanted to share, correct?
Yeah, this actually is just coming out of the first numbers from Italy. This was published a bit earlier in a Bloomberg article. The Italy National Health Institute is publishing that 99% of the people who have died from this had other illnesses, and the average age is 80. So these are kind of the first statistics coming out of Italy, and this can give us some insight as to what to expect. Now, of course, these are all evolving as we go, and the World Health Organization is putting up an estimate mortality rate of 3.4. And they've made it very clear that that is an estimate. They will not know more until they have more numbers in. And this is simply because we are assuming that there are going to be a lot of people who do have the virus who we aren't even aware have it, or that person themselves is aware that they have it. So this is going to drastically change the numbers as we go. So it could take days, weeks, months, even years to get a clear picture on this.
So there are these debates that I witness in person, of course, on social media. People can be very bold on social media. But there are absolutely the fear-mongers, who are kind of putting out the word, we're all going to die. And then there are others who are a little calloused and they shrug it off and they go, oh, no, it's only the old people who are going to die. Everybody else is going to be okay. It's just like the flu. And again, we don't know where everything is going to land. We don't. But let's come back to that 99% number, Kristin. Why is that significant to you? Like when you speak to your family, why is that reassuring?
Yeah, I think one of the key factors is having other illnesses, chronic diseases. And so what can we do? Make sure that we are in the best health possible. This is the protection. This is what we can do.
So let's understand that somebody who has been suffering with COPD for the last 5 or 10 years, or emphysema, or a lifetime smoker, they may get this COVID-19 virus and die, but they didn't die from the virus. And that's important to understand. And I don't want to create any illusions that this is not potentially dangerous. It certainly is. We've seen that. But let's get rid of this fear that it's just randomly killing people. We do have to listen to the experts. Who are the experts? It's hard to tell. Really social media changed everything. I know, just thinking of hurricane season years ago, back in the day, of anybody in South Florida who was here for Hurricane Andrew. I know many of you weren't even born yet. But Brian Norcross was the guy. You would wait until he came on the TV or the radio. So there was one expert. And there are too many right now. You don't know who the expert is, and they're arguing, and they contradict each other. But I think if we look to the CDC, at the very least, we're pretty safe in following their recommendations. And you've all heard these. This is not new to you. But it started with don't attend gatherings of more than 500 people, and then it became 50 people. Now, we've been following along with this, and we've been observing these guidelines. And this is what I mean. It changes, constantly, minute to minute, day to day. Practice social distancing. What does that mean? Okay, don't cough on anybody. But what if you're going for a jog? In the community I live in, there are a lot of beautiful pathways, and people are out jogging and riding their bikes. And really, if you're jogging one way and somebody's coming the other way, you can't help but just move to the right because you don't want to be too close to anybody. Is that enough? Honestly, we don't know. Wash your hands? Okay, yes, we certainly should wash our hands. We know that the people who have other health conditions are at more risk than those people who are generally healthy. And if we're generally healthy, not only should we be selfishly concerned, but we have to be concerned that we don't carry the virus to those people. So this is what the CDC is telling us, and this is what we need to follow. So never for a moment should we question whether or not we should follow those guidelines. This is not a time to be a maverick. This is not a time to go, I know better than they do. We do have to band together and follow what they lay out. Now, I said we have a mixed group here. There are some people here who own health clubs. There are some people here who own multiple health clubs. People here own personal training studios, or people here own chiropractic practices. So I know I'm speaking to a diverse audience, but for a moment, let me just speak to the kindred spirits who are in the fitness field. I want to first say that I did sit in on a couple of roundtables, and I was almost offended because a lot of them were about how do we save the money? How do we manage to charge our members even if we have to shut down? And I couldn't even stay on those calls. But then I was on some others, and there are those who are more altruistic, and they really care about helping people. And if you guys don't mind, Tasso and Ernie, I think both of you are here. We can't hear you, but I'm going to take some liberty of just sharing an exchange that just went on through an email group that we have. Tasso very boldly and passionately said, I'm shutting down my health club, but I'm not shutting down my one-on-one training because the people need me, and I'm going to help them no matter what. And then Ernie, who lives in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, responded and said, Tasso, that's irresponsible. I mean, this is a virus, a pandemic, and you can't jeopardize people's lives. I can't say that one of you is right and one of you is wrong. Honestly, we don't know. We don't know. So at some level, you have to follow your heart. But here's what I can say absolutely without question. Chiropractor, doctor, functional medicine expert, personal trainer, health coach, health catalyst. Here's what you need to be right now. A resource for basic, understandable truth. That's what I want to be tonight. That's what Kristin and I strive to be. A resource for basic, understandable truth. There is no selfish motive at this point. Those go out the window. We have some expertise, and many people don't have the expertise that we do, so we need to translate a lot of what is complex and complicated in a way that people get it. But most of all, we can't share anything that resembles fake news or somebody's idea or a crazy theory or a conspiracy theory. You may have those theories, you may believe them, but it's not the time to talk about them. Professionally, I'm saying to everyone here, whether you do it in a closed forum like through Skype or Zoom, or you do it in some kind of open forum, you've got to, for your members, for your clients, be a resource for truth. Kristin, anything you want to add to that or share?
Yeah, I think that's really important. And, in today's social media frenzy, it is hard to know what's true and what's not true. So, I would be really cautious and look to the experts and, keep it to speaking truth and keep the members and the people in your family, your friends, of the most importance. That's what's most important right here. We have to maintain health and move forward as a society.
I have been on the phone probably 15 hours over the last 48, honestly, speaking to experts, people I respect. Because I can't share truth with you unless I can discern what the truth is. So, staying for a moment with those people who are in the fitness health club business, it's a difficult decision if it's not a mandate. If they go, well, you should really close your business. It's a hard thing to do. It's your business, it's your lifeblood, it's your livelihood. So here are the questions that we ask. We look at the guidelines and we ask these questions and we consider every one of them carefully. Can we maintain 10 feet of distance between our members? They say that the spread normally happens between 3 and 6 feet. So 6 feet is not enough. We want to be safe. We want to make sure we can keep our members at least 10 feet apart. Most health clubs can't do that. We can. We're not a conventional health club. We don't have treadmills. We don't have ellipticals next to each other. We don't have exercise bikes. We don't have a workout floor where people are close to each other. We're different. We can schedule visits by appointment, and that's what we do now. People call and they make an appointment. And we've made it really clear that if you don't have an appointment or a capacity, you can't come in. If you told me 2 weeks ago that this is where we'd be, I wouldn't have believed it. But this is where we are. Can you maintain a between members disinfection schedule? Tasso said that his staff walks around like gunslingers. On one side of their belt, they have thieves' oil, and on the other side, they have disinfectant. Good. That's what we need to do. But if you really think about how contagious this is, we can't have one member get off of a bench and somebody else lay down on that bench. I mean, honestly, you've got to have the ability to disinfect between members. Now, this is not off the top of my head. This is after a lot of consideration. Can you maintain the assuredness of a safe environment as far as safe environments go? I mean, the fact is nowhere can be deemed safe anymore because we don't know who was where that carried this virus. But looking at the world around us, can we follow the CDC guidelines and create an environment that at least we work hard to make safe? And can we disinfect anything touched by members? We will not have a member tossing a medicine ball to another member right now. So these are extreme measures. Now, honestly, we're still open right now. It is day to day, and we're careful. But this is the fine line. You know, at what point is it detrimental to people to truly have any exposure to an open room with other people? So, Kristin, you want to walk through some of the steps that we've taken, at least to get to this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing is keeping the traffic minimal, having appointments, and then in between every use of equipment, it's a full sanitization. You have to get rid of any sort of pathogens by utilizing high pH, low pH, alternating. So I come from the world of laboratories, so I have quite a bit of experience in making sure that we don't have any pathogens in any of our cell cultures. And this is really critical right now. We want to be cautious and we want to be safe. Certainly utilizing disposable cannulas for any of oxygen bars, etc. And we're streaming our classes online so people can follow along from home. They don't have to come in, and they can, follow from the safety of their home. They can even set up their phone outside in their backyard and get some sunlight at the same time. So there's a lot of, I think, unique ways to make sure that we ensure safety.
So in sort of concluding the private conversation here with the fitness professionals, I think here's the big question. How, right now, do we help those people who rely on us, not just for great glutes and great abs? Honestly, the bodybuilder who's about to lose a half inch on his biceps because he can't get to the 100-pound dumbbells for a little while, I'm not worried about him. I'm really not. And I'm not worried about the obsessive person who's got to have the greatest abs on the planet so she can post on Instagram. I'm not. But looking at our client base, looking at our member base, we have people who rely upon us for their health, for their function, literally day to day, and for peace of mind. So do we leave these people to suffer with the sense of isolation and helplessness? No, but this is the question that we have to ask. How, in this time of chaotic disruption, do we, the fitness and health professionals, help those people who rely on us? And if it means doing webinars like this, then that's what we should be doing. The main intention of tonight's webinar is twofold. One, for you guys to be able to have some peace of mind in considering the question, how can I protect myself? How can I protect my family? How can I protect people I love so we minimize the likelihood of being infected? But then there's a secondary question. If you are infected, it shouldn't be end of the world Armageddon. If you are infected, then you have a virus. And I said twofold. First is, how do we prevent you from getting it? But second is, if you get it, how do you make sure that your body defeats it? Now, of course, the best thing to do is to prevent yourself from getting it. So here's the idea of, let's go beyond social distancing and say isolation. If early enough we were able to isolate everybody, maybe we could have prevented the spread of the disease. It doesn't look like we did that. And I have to tell you that prevention is one of the least sexy words in our entire field. There's another that's not sexy, and that's wellness. These are the two impotent words that for years I've seen the health and fitness industry try to use to market. Prevention. Come spend money on your health so you prevent disease. But the problem is, when people are healthy, they're not even thinking of sickness. So they don't want to spend money to prevent. They think they're invincible. They think they're invulnerable. It's only when somebody suffers something that they go for help. So we know that prevention is important, and we know that that would be optimal, but honestly, we're past that point. Can you prevent yourself from getting it if you don't already have it? Yes, you can take certain measures, and that's some of what we're going to talk about tonight. But if you were exposed, I don't want you to go into panic mode either. Remember, there's one of two circumstances here. Either you're not going to get it, which would be beautiful, or you'll get it and you'll recover. If you look at your screen, you're seeing the symbol of medicine. I do complete seminars, spending hours just on this. I won't right now. But it is called the caduceus. It is the staff or the rod of Hermes. In short, Hermes was the ancient Greek greatest teacher, healer of all time. And what's really interesting is when I ask people in the medical field why this represents medicine, they scratch their head and they tilt their head and they look puzzled. They recognize it. I go, what is this? They go, oh, yeah, it's the insignia. I've spoken to people who have it on their license plate. And I go, well, why would it be snakes? I don't know. They have it on their business card. I go, what, do you know what this is? Yeah, it's the logo. Yeah, but why snakes? I don't know. Here's why. According to the teachings of Hermes, the snake with its head on the right represents the divine potential of man or woman, of mankind. The divine potential of man, meaning you come into this world, you are perfect. Your heart just knows how to beat, and it knows how many times to beat. And when you need nourishment, your digestive system knows, and it makes you make sounds, and you cry, and you get food. Perfection, divine perfection. But as we mature, we tend to screw up that perfection, and by the time we get into our 30s, 40s, or beyond, we've probably done a fair amount of damage. So when somebody comes to the doctor, they are now the snake with its head on the left. So the snake with the head on the right is the divine potential of man. The other one is the physicality of man in this moment. So the teachings of medicine, the roots of medicine, ask that the healer restore man to his divine potential. Again, or woman, I'm not being sexist here. Restore man or woman to his or her divine potential. That's the beauty of the medical theory, but that's not the way that our system works today. Today it seems to be, what's the symptom? What's the drug? Here's your prescription. In my career, I really have gone full circle. I know some of you have been with me for many years. Some are just meeting me recently. But I'll say 20 years ago, I was traveling the world doing seminars and selling books and courses, teaching people how to develop lean bodies. And then I went through an interesting experience in my own life. I was misdiagnosed with Parkinson's disease. I do not have Parkinson's. But that was a pivotal moment in my life. It turned out that I was actually sick from mold toxicity. And I finally got the true answer, found out that Parkinson's was a misdiagnosis, and I got well, and it changed me. And I said, it's kind of frivolous just to teach people to look great. I'm going to now take everything I've learned and study more and connect with great doctors and teach people to reverse disease. And I started doing that, and I found my way into the medical field, and I started working with hospitals. And I realized that every chronic disease is the result of inflammation and a maladaptation. And I started creating programs to help people reverse disease. And you know what started to happen? They started to lose weight. So it's really funny how it's gone full circle, because now I have programs that help people lose weight. But it's different. It's not purely just for the sake of looking great. It's because it makes you healthier. So there is a huge difference in the approach and the strategy when you help a 25-year-old fit person to get lean for a bodybuilding show, and when you help a 42-year-old diabetic reverse weight loss resistance. What's really interesting is the strategy that we use, Kristin and I, the strategy we use at Biohackers to help people reverse chronic disease, to reverse weight loss resistance, is the same strategy that boosts their immune system. We're getting people well. So it's kind of ironic that I went full circle and landed in this place where, here we are with this amazing strategy and people are losing weight. We have a 7-day program now and they lose weight in 7 days. And their symptoms go away in 7 days. Well, guess why? Because we help them develop two systems in their body that have deteriorated, two systems they've neglected, the immune system and the parasympathetic recovery system. These are the symptoms that must be restored in anybody with chronic disease. And when people exercise, they think of the muscular system, the respiratory system, the circulatory system. They don't pay attention to these two. And that's why when somebody progresses along what I call the disease continuum and they get conditions and they're diagnosed with things, they're given medication. When they go to the gym, they work the muscular system, the respiratory and the circulatory system, but they're not fixing the immune system and the parasympathetic system, and that leaves people vulnerable. So we can fix it. How do we fix it? If I just said eat right and exercise, it would be an oversimplification, but we do have to acknowledge that our best medicine absolutely is food. Now, this is nothing new to you. You've heard that. Food is medicine. Hippocrates said it, so it's anything but new. But we can't really just generalize and say food is medicine because most people eat shitty food. So I don't know that we would call that medicine. So, Kristin, would you say that just as much as it can be medicine, food could be the vehicle that leads people away from health?
Yeah.
Is food toxic? It's probably unfair to call it toxic. We can speak about toxins. Kristin can speak at length about cellular toxins. So we can't generalize and say food is toxic. But we can say that bad food or bad for you food is going to gradually create shifts in your endocrine system, your immune system, your adrenal system that causes the body to break down. And that's the path that leads to hypothyroidism and type 2 diabetes and hypertension and all of these conditions, metabolic syndrome. And you know what lies at the root cause of it? Inflammation and maladaptation. Inflammation is the root cause of all disease, and maladaptation, systems of the body changing, adapting to a way that is unhealthy in terms of their function, that's what underlies chronic disease. When our protective systems are weakened, when the parasympathetic system is flawed, when the immune system is weakened through toxicity or through neglect or through abuse or through maladaptation or through oxidation or through degradation, we become vulnerable to pathogens. So, Kristin, I'm saying inflammation and maladaptation are the root cause of all chronic disease. Isn't it fair to say the same thing is true when somebody becomes sick from pathogenic disease?
Absolutely.
An infection is an invasion. It's something going in. Not something going out. It's something going in. So if we can protect ourselves so bad guys don't get in, well, then we don't worry about infection. And sometimes, if your immune system is strong, some kind of pathogens or bad guys may crawl into your body on a splinter, and your strong immune system inflames that area and gets rid of the toxins and never makes it further into your body. But other times, these pathogens can become really disruptive, and they can disrupt entire systems of your body. So just so you understand better this COVID-19, rather than thinking of it just as a monster, Understand, it is a pathogenic disease, not a chronic disease as diabetes would be, but it's also not a bacterial infection. When you get a bacterial infection, you can take an antibiotic that kills those bacteria. A virus is different. Kristin, what is a virus and can we fight it?
So, I hear a lot of buzz about, the cure for COVID, and we've got to get the cure going. And I have great news for everyone that is currently on this webinar, and I want you to share it with everyone you know. The cure is in you already. You have an amazing immune system that is constantly hard at work. And just so you understand, on average, humans have 5 viruses in their system at any given moment. So you constantly have these invaders in your body. And so having a strong immune system is your best defense because the cure is in you. On average, adults get 2 to 4 colds, which are a virus, per year. Children get 6 to 8. And having these virus infections is actually what builds your natural immunity. It's a natural vaccine for you. At any given moment, if we were to test people, they're going to be testing positive for viruses. So what happens when you get exposed to a virus is that there's an invasion. And I actually think of viruses as little spaceships. And what happens is they land on your cell. So viruses don't have the ability to replicate themselves. They don't have a nucleus. They don't have all the smart things that the cells inside your body have. So they will land on the surface of a cell and then inject their DNA or RNA. So it's just a little fragment which will go into your cell and integrate into the nucleus of your cell, integrate with your DNA, and then start making replications. And when that happens, your body starts to create what are called interferons. And these are kind of like messages. They're signaling. They're letting the body know, something has happened. And inside your body, there's a lot of these unique lock and key. And I kind of think of it as, remember when we were little and we had those kind of round things that you put shapes in, and the square one could only fit in the square and the triangle could only fit in the triangle? This is how your body works on the inside. And so these little interferons will actually attach on the surface of cells, and it starts this kind of signaling process. And you have something in your body that is called an antigen-presenting cell. And an antigen-presenting cell is kind of like a billboard for the rest of your body. So something has happened. A bad guy has come in. So in this case, it's a virus. The bad guy came in. He had a spaceship. He put this little DNA thing into one of your cells. Your antigen-presenting cell got this message from the interferon because it had this little lock and key system that made it happen. It took that little virus and presented it on a billboard to the rest of your body so that your immune system would wake up. And, so let the immune system know, we've got to get to work. Something has gone wrong here. Let's repair. Let's fix. And then you have this huge cascade of events. I mean, the mechanism of action here inside your body is truly miraculous. Lots of things start happening. Your body starts manipulating your body temperature, manipulating the temperature, because if it raises the body temperature, aka a fever, some of those infected cells are not going to live. Your macrophages, they go over there, they start gobbling up anything that looks suspicious that maybe has a virus inside it. And then it starts creating something called apoptosis, which is cell suicide. So now your body sees, that cell's been infected with the virus. I'm just going to blow that cell up. I'm going to force it to commit suicide. You also have something called natural killer cells, or NK cells. And these go over there and they start just killing these virus-infected cells. And then the other thing that happens is your B cells will actually stimulate the production of antibodies. And antibodies are what protects you against viruses in the future. And now you've got this memory. So anytime that virus comes back, you've got the antibodies there circulating. So your body is so amazing. It's got this built-in protection for you. So the best thing that you can do is keep your immune system at its best.
So that sounds pretty encouraging, because we just spoke about we help people restore immune function. So if what it takes to prevent the virus from infecting you and causing harm, or overcome a virus, is a strong immune system, then anything that works to strengthen the immune system is what you should be doing now. Before this pandemic, a coronavirus wouldn't have been all that scary because it would have been presented to you as a common cold. And there was a really interesting study, and the study was done to examine whether stress makes people vulnerable. So they had people fill out a questionnaire, and they were put in categories as to whether they are high stress, under a great amount of stress, or low stress, that they really don't have very much stress in their life. You can judge Sheldon Cohn's ethics, but what he did is he infected or exposed 276 healthy people to a virus. And then he did a comparison between those who got sick and those who didn't. And what was kind of amazing is the ones who got sick were the ones who had high stress. And this was documented and verified by looking at their CRP, their C-reactive protein, and their cytokine levels. So those who were displaying a stress response got sick from the virus, and those who had a very low stress threshold didn't get sick. But what's interesting is all of them had the virus. So the symptoms are the fight. That was 276 people. They all had the virus. It's just those who were under high stress had a harder time with it. So as Kristin just pointed out, the fever and everything that comes with it, this is your immune system fighting. So I told you earlier that when we look at disease categories, we're talking now about the virus, which is a common cold or a flu. Is this a different one? Yes, because it is a novel coronavirus, which means it hasn't been seen in humans before. So when you get a bacterial infection, an antibiotic kills the bacteria. When you get a viral infection, antibodies fight off the virus. The problem with a novel virus is you don't yet have antibodies. So although a coronavirus in and of itself is not that scary, a novel coronavirus refers to a strain that we, as a population, have not yet developed antibodies for. Dr. Bleiweiss, are you here?
Can you hear me?
Yes. I'll assume that means yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're here. So those of you who regularly watch Kristin and I on our podcast, M3, you know Dr. Bleiweiss. He's been a guest. He's been a great guest. And I asked him to join us here for a little bit because not only does he have a background in pharmacology, not only is he an MD, not only is he a functional medicine doctor, but he is revered as a diagnostician and somebody who gets people well. And I've watched him through many, many episodes with many, many people. So is there anything I said related to this virus that you would want to add to?
Well, this as a novel coronavirus, SARS was novel at the time. Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome was novel at the time. This virus may have an envelope made up of protein and lipids. The lipids come from the host, from us, and it helps the virus attach to your cells, and then it injects the RNA, in this case, single-stranded RNA, into you to make more of them. You need to get your immune system up and running. The older we get, the less strong it is. So I was looking at your at the slides, and everything you said was true. Now, I can't tell you specific things to take because the FDA doesn't like that. But the thing that I have been using for my friends, family, and patients is a bioactive silver hydrosol. And I see you have that up there as silver nanoparticles. And the problem with what's going on with silver is that in 1999, the FDA came out with a ruling that said, silver's not good for you, it doesn't do anything, don't take it. Although we still use it in hospitals, we put it in newborn babies' eyes to prevent blindness from potential gonorrhea. We tip our catheters and IV tubes with silver to prevent infection. We use it in every burn unit in the world as silver sulfadiazine to stop infection. We use it all the time. What happened was in 2001, a new silver product came out, and it's not been the one that's been tested. When FDA pulled Jim Baker on the carpet, it was from another silver. And the issue with silver is the smaller the silver nanoparticle is, the more surface area there is, the more active it is, and the more viral killing and bacterial killing and fungal killing it has. And it's a brilliant way to kill viral load, but it also boosts your immune system inside. It causes reactive oxygen species. It attaches to the virus coat or envelope end coat, and then it goes inside and it attaches to the RNA, the genome of the virus. It condenses it, and what happens is that virus is no longer able to replicate everything we want. So you can keep your immune system strong. You can eat the rainbow diet. I saw the foods you wanted people to eat, including, the reishi mushrooms and shiitake, maitake, yortake, all the mushrooms, the beta, and all those things. You can keep your immune system strong. But if you want, you should look for one of the bioactive silver hydrosols that you can use to increase your immune status and to actually kill virus. But everything else...
Yeah, Dr. Bleiweiss, I know you have an appointment, and you said you only had a few minutes. I appreciate you being here, but I want to bring up a couple of things related to silver, and I don't want to make this all about silver. But when I speak to you and I get information, you share with me what you're doing yourself, and I think that's important. And you also share research. So, I have the greatest respect for you because you've always been the real deal. What we've heard about silver is that it makes people blue, because you saw the blue man, right? And let's just say that's, yeah. But that's not going to happen, right?
No.
And if you...
The Argyria that you're talking about with the blue man began because he made silver at home. And the size of his silver particles were massive, just massive. They were like glaciers. And they did not go into the silver ions, which is active as an antimicrobial, and they got caught. They got caught selectively in his skin. Now, what's interesting is that no one ever got sick from Argyria. No one ever got sick. No one ever died from Argyria. And
they just turned blue and started a group called the Blue Man Group.
The Blue Man Group. That's true.
Right.
But you're not going to see that with the bioactive silver hydrosols that are 1 nanometer big, right?
Okay, so we have to look at particle size, right?
Particle size
and concentration, correct?
That's right. If you have something that's 100, 250 parts per million, that's a lot of large particles. If you have something that's 0.8 to 2.5 nanometers in size, and it's maybe 10 parts per million or 23 parts per million, you can take, for the World Health Organization and the FDA, for the reference dose, you would have to take something like 73 gallons in one day to have a negative effect. Now, you're going to die from the water intoxication before anything with the tiniest silver particles.
All right, now I want to bring up one more thing, and then I'm going to let you go. And I will say this. I am going to share nutritional suggestions for boosting immune system. I will share a number of supplements, but included in that, of course, now is colloidal silver. But you mentioned Jim Baker, Alex Jones. There are a lot of controversial pitch people who are opportunists.
Yeah.
And right now, they're saying silver cures the coronavirus, and that's not true, is it?
You can't say that. What we do know is that, and we're not talking to silver, they're peddling. What we can say is that a specific bioactive silver hydrosol with particularly small silver nanoparticles, which is active and can do 30,000 impregnations on a viral cell, has killed in the past SARS, MERS,
which were novel coronaviruses at the time.
Those two were novel coronaviruses at the time. That's right. So we know what it's done to them, and this is another coronaviridae virus, pleomorphic, has the envelope, capsid, the RNA inside. You would think that it should be killed the same way the other coronaviruses were. But you can't say that because it's not been FDA approved, and it won't be FDA approved because there's no patentability on it from a big pharma, and no one's going to spend $750 million to try to get it through the FDA. So,
and this is not intended to be a pitch or a plug, but I do want to mention there are two options. I know that you use Argentin is the one that you've always sold out of your office, right, for years. And then there's one that's sold in Whole Foods, I believe, correct?
Yes, the 10 parts per million, which because the particles are so small, you can get smaller is actually better. You can get more bang for that buck of what you're using without negative side effects. I mean, we're finding.
And Kristin, I'm going to thank Dr. Bleiweiss. I know he has to go, and I don't want to turn this into a webinar about silver, but I know when you and I were speaking, you said you use it at the clinic, correct?
Use it
Yep.
all the time.
We use it particularly in respiratory type conditions. So obviously coronavirus would be spot on. And I personally use it, and I have a favorite brand that I use called Results RNA that I use anytime I have any sinus issues. I love it. I have a little spritzer right up the nose.
Dr. Bleiweiss, thank you. Let's get through this thing quickly.
Go.
Let's get back to normal. And then if all goes well, we're going to freeze you soon in cryo, correct?
Yes. Saturday when I come in.
All right. I'm hoping. We'll talk soon. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye, Phil.
Okay. So understand that as a population, when this is no longer a novel virus, that means we will have antibodies. And it's no longer the threat that it is. So we will be protected when our bodies develop antibodies to this particular strain. When our immune systems start to recognize the virus DNA and, as Kristin described, go right into attack mode. The CDC guidelines are what we have to follow right now, but I want you to just take a breath and just stop thinking of this as a monster and understand it's a virus. It's a scary virus, and people who are already sick, some of them will get sicker and some of them will die. But for the great majority of people, if we follow CDC guidelines and take care of our immune systems, I believe we're going to be okay. Kristin, you agree?
Yep. Based on what World Health Organization is saying, 97% of people or more are going to be just fine.
And as you said, that statistic is based on the fact that we don't know how many people are actually infected. That's only based on what we know. So my guess is it's a much larger than 97% number, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay, so right now the best course of action is to strengthen your immune system and optimize parasympathetic recovery. And I don't want to go into a whole seminar about parasympathetic recovery, but I want to explain it very simply. Your sympathetic nervous system is the fight or flight system. It's the adrenal system. It's the stress response. The parasympathetic system is what brings you back to what's called homeostasis. And when we recover is when we heal. When we're in balance is when we heal. So because people live in this adrenal stress mode, their parasympathetic recovery system inactivates. It stops working and they are not recovering. And this is why I'm saying there are two systems. One is your immune system, which will fight, and the other is the parasympathetic system, which will heal. So if right now you're staying at home, who did I hear talking about? I think Bill Maher. Maybe it was Chris Cuomo. Somebody on television was saying it's really funny how people are always going, I can't wait to go home and binge watch. I don't have time to binge watch. Now you can go binge watch. Whatever shows you want to binge watch, go watch them. Like, this is not, you're not being put in a prison cell. You're being asked to be at home. So decide that you're going to use this time at home to bolster your immune system and your parasympathetic system. It may seem overly simplistic, but man, this is the best advice I can give you. Use your time at home to learn to prepare healthy meals. Get a whole bunch of colorful vegetables and make up some salads. Exercise at home. Exercise in your backyard. Exercise outside your front door. I've got a 9-minute routine I'll be happy to share with everybody here that I'm telling you is enough to stimulate improvement and bring about parasympathetic recovery. Meditate. It's one of the best things you can do. Listen to calming music. Listen to classical music if that makes you feel good. Listen to frequencies, 432. If you've ever looked into healing frequencies, sound healing, it is miraculous. Read the book that you didn't read, that you know you need to read. Watch things that make you laugh. I believe the most bonding thing that you could do is laugh with another person. I believe that is more bonding than sex, honestly. You know how when you laugh and then they laugh and then you can't stop, like then you, and then you stop and then you look at each other and you start laughing again? That's incredible for endorphin release. And guess what endorphin release does? Activates parasympathetic recovery. If you're home and you're quarantined, hey, we've got social media, you've got Zoom, you've got FaceTime, you've got Skype. Talk to the friends you haven't spoken to. Go check out what the people from high school really look like when you get them on Skype. That'll be fun. And one of the best things you could do is journal. Kristin, can you talk about that briefly? Because it seems, when I say it, it seems so trivial. But I've had so many people find it to be a profound part of the programs we recommend, the journaling.
Yeah, I've only recently gotten into journaling, and I was so surprised how powerful it was. And I do a lot of meditating, I do a lot of yoga, and I do a lot of, gratitude all day long. Gratitude. But just thinking about gratitude and writing it down and just thinking about kind of a future that you want versus writing it down, that they're like light years apart. You have to take a pen to paper. You have to write it down. It's life altering. And if you haven't done it and you're thinking, oh, this is probably BS, she's an idiot, prove me wrong. Do it for a week and see how you feel. And I mean, be real about doing it. Don't just, oh, she told me I'm going to prove her wrong. No, I'm telling you, do it. It's amazing.
The worst things that you could do are panic and spread fear. Because you will infect other people with the virus, maybe not with the virus, but with susceptibility to any virus. Because that's adrenal response. It's the opposite of parasympathetic recovery. So when I talk about exercising in brief sessions, this is a way to strengthen those healing systems of your body. Get a good night's sleep. Hey, you don't have to go to work tomorrow. Get a good night's sleep. It's really interesting because people run to the grocery store and they fight. Like right now, the fight is over toilet paper. I don't know why. Why? Honestly, why? And people are just shitting their pants. I don't understand why they need so much toilet paper. But I think it becomes this, they see other people doing it, so go, we're going to run out of toilet paper, we need to buy it. But what I see is they're buying chips and they're buying cookies and they're buying wine and they're buying beer. I understand they're trying to make it, okay, I'm going to be home, I want to have comfort food. But again, this is the opposite of what you should be doing. Kristin, what do you suspect is happening with all those people who are buying the wine and the beer and the chips?
I'm fearful that people are drinking a lot, and they're eating a lot of food that is disrupting their immune system. Especially alcohol. Alcohol is death to your stem cells. Your stem cells are what keep your body strong. Your stem cells are what help you to fight in case of a virus. So the last thing you should be doing is going home and drinking alcohol.
So it's that kind of search for a short term, I'm going to numb myself in exchange for really weakening every cell in your body. Just as alcohol makes you weaker, and I know this is hard to believe, activating the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that deals with imagination, with positive thoughts, makes you stronger. The best thing you could do for mindset right now, whether it's with a journal or just closing your eyes, is create a future memory. When this is over, what will you do? What have you learned from this experience that will allow you to be better in the future? Does this give you a greater appreciation for your family, for your friends, for your health? Create a future based on this. Don't try to outsmart everybody. Honestly, what we're sharing with you, this is factual information. The right nutrition is so pivotal. It is so vitally important. Man, I had the opportunity to spend some time traveling around in front of audiences with my friend Jordan Rubin, who wrote a book called The Maker's Diet, and he was releasing a bone broth product and just speaking about the benefits of bone broth. And really what we're talking about is when you eat what God intended us to eat, it becomes medicinal for your body. And my grandma Tilly made the greatest matzo ball soup. And nothing made you feel better when you were sick than Grandma Tilly's matzo ball soup. And it just seems like one of those kind of old wives' tales or old grandma's tales. But I got to tell you this, Kristin, we spoke about this. There is legitimate research about chicken soup making people better from the common cold. Oh, wait a minute, the common cold? What is that? A coronavirus. Now, I'm not suggesting that if you take your silver and you eat chicken soup, your matzo ball soup, you're going to be okay. But I am telling you that when you get the right natural foods into your body gets well. When we look at the research on the chicken soup, why? I'm going to tell you why. Because it mitigates inflammation. Remember what I said. Everyone in that study had the same virus, but only some of them got sick. Why did some of them get sick? Because they developed an inflammatory response. So if we can consume foods or compounds or nutrients that mitigate the inflammatory response, then we get through these things much easier. So if you're going to put into your body sugar and alcohol and bleached and processed and refined carbohydrates, you are feeding viruses, you are feeding bad parasites, you are feeding everything that wants to destroy you or keep you just barely alive so it could live off of you as a host. I'm not kidding. Kristin, is that extreme?
Not at all. It's 100% accurate.
I've heard you use the term bad cells or crazy cells, right? Is that what you say? Crazy cells?
Mm-hmm.
They like sugar, right?
They sure do. You know, people hear free radicals. I don't want to have a free radical. Well, what it really is you've lost an electron on your cell, and it's a crazy cell. So it starts stealing electrons from its neighbors because it's trying to become normal again. But then it just becomes neighbors stealing from neighbors and mass panic and chaos and
at a cellular level.
Degradation at a cellular level. These are your cells. Mm-hmm. And this is where
it becomes a cellular pandemic with your body as the universe.
Yes, inside you. And so if you replenish, you eat foods that are high in antioxidants, anti-inflammatory, it actually replenishes that missing electron and neutralizes those free radicals. That's why it's so important. So if you're drinking alcohol, you're creating a whole host of free radicals. That's a problem. I mean, and not just alcohol, any sugars, and really toxic foods.
So remember what I said. The way that we reverse chronic disease, the way that we reverse weight loss resistance, the way we reverse a condition we've identified as REMAS, it's the same way we strengthen our immune system. It's eating frequent meals from the most natural food sources possible. It's making sure you get a good quality protein in every meal. It's making sure you get a wide variety of phytonutrients and antioxidants. There are foods that have proven to be more anti-inflammatory than Advil and Tylenol and the NSAIDs that people are buying over the counter from nature. So trade the candy bars for berries and cherries and pomegranates. Now, there are some of you who have been on my programs and you go, wait a minute, Phil, you said don't eat fruit. I never say don't eat fruit. People always tell me I say don't eat fruit. I never say don't eat fruit. What I say is if you're on a fat loss program and you eat fruits by themselves, you will spike blood sugar. But we're not talking about fat loss now. We're talking about boosting your immune system. And by the way, when you strengthen the systems of your body and reverse maladaptation, you reverse weight loss resistance. And even if you eat berries and cherries and pomegranates, if you do everything else, you're still going to lose fat. You've heard about dark green leafy vegetables. There's a reason you've heard about them. And broccoli and Brussels sprouts and cauliflower, garlic and onions. Man, Joel Furman is an author, a doctor. I've had the privilege of speaking in some events that he spoke at, and he goes crazy over garlic and onions about the strength they have in reversing disease. Mushrooms can be medicinal. So as you look down this list, I'm not talking about weird stuff here. Are there supplements that play a role in immunity? Yes. So let's start with the foundational ones. Multivitamin, multimineral. Start there because if you're not eating well or you haven't eaten well in a long time, at the very least you want to make sure that you're micronutrient sound. Most people are deficient in vitamin D3, so get yourself a good vitamin D3 supplement. Vitamin C, so highly evidenced in boosting immune function and fighting disease. There's no argument here anymore. If you watched the podcast we did with Dr. Bleiweiss, I kind of teased him a little bit. I said, some people think that that's quackery, and he kind of went off the deep end about vitamin C and sepsis. You remember that, Kristin? So, there's no question here. Zinc and fish oil. These are all good for immune function. If you want to go a little further, we can get into beta-glucans, which are polysaccharides. They're actually a unique kind of sugar, but they upregulate the function of the innate immune system. They strengthen your immune system. Do you need them? No, but if you're listening to this, you're going, I want to do everything possible to make sure either I don't get the virus or I don't get sick from the virus or I beat the virus. These are your answers. If you have the ability to get some nutrients into you intravenously, I do. I always get some IVs before I travel on a long trip because I found that airplane air is not really healthy. And if I don't get my glutathione before I go on a trip, I suffer for it. And if I get my glutathione, I feel great. Glutathione is an antioxidant. It's the master antioxidant at an intracellular level. You can't really eat glutathione and get it into the cell, so the best way to do it is to get it intravenously. Some of you are looking to go, where do I go for this? My doctor won't do that for me. If you've never gotten IVs, now's probably not the time to seek it out, but if you do have a resource for it, a functional medicine doctor, or there are lots of IV businesses showing up, or if you're at Biohackers, we can help you get IVs. Glutathione, vitamin C, and what they call a Myers cocktail are the proven courses of action for bolstering immune function. Here are some other supplements that certainly play a role in strengthening immunity. I think the mistake people make is they think a supplement is a drug, and they go, which one should I take? And there is no one. Honestly, it's a combination of these things that will work to strengthen your immune system. If you take care of yourself, if you exercise, if you breathe, if you move lymph through your lymphatic system, then these supplements will do a really, really nice job. But I would say there isn't one above all others that I would say is the winner. Dr. Bleiweiss was very specific about which one can aid in helping you recover from a virus. But man, if you take all of these, you're in good shape. And then, Kristin, I keep coming back to this idea of two systems, the immune system, the parasympathetic system. So you touched on what biohacking is. For anybody who's never had the opportunity to experience it, again, if you're, in your home right now, I'm not telling you to come down. But when this passes, if you've never experienced it, you have to. So cryotherapy, give the quick one-sentence benefit to immune and parasympathetic.
Yeah, so 3 minutes, we put some extreme cold on you, minus 130, and what happens is the blood goes rushing to your center core. This is really good for your organs, really good for hitting the reset button on your immune system and kicking you into that recovery phase. So it's something that I personally do at least 3 times a week. It's really been a game changer.
Hyperbaric oxygen.
I consider this great for your brain, but also good for your immune system. It can be anti-inflammatory in nature, and it can also stimulate the stem cells from your bone marrow to begin circulating. So if you have more stem cells circulating, you have more healing capability. And basically what it is pressurized air to increase the oxygen that you would be then inhaling.
I said at the beginning, if you could get to the rainforest or the beach all the time, you would get negative ions, but most people don't. Talk about how you could deliver negative ions and what they do for the immune system and the parasympathetic.
So we have a system that you can breathe in a 15-minute session to get the negative ions. So we talked about before free radicals. So these are the cells in your body that have gone crazy and they're stealing electrons from their neighbors. And we want to neutralize that. We want to neutralize that free radical process that is causing tissue degradation and putting stress on your immune system and not allowing you to recover appropriately. So in a 15-minute session, you can breathe in these negative ions. It would be like sitting down and eating about 50 servings of vegetables.
All right, I want to go on to infrared and PEMF. But there's a very active chat going on. Now, those of you who are listening to the recording, you will not see it. But there's a very active chat, and some people are sending me private messages, and the private ones are going, can you back up? Can you back up? I can't back up. I mean, I can, but I won't, because not everybody wants to back up. But I'm not being mean. Here's the good news. I'll send all you guys the slides. How about that? I'll send you the entire presentation as a PDF, okay? So anybody who feels like you missed something, you didn't miss anything, I promise. And I'll get you guys the recording. But what grabbed my attention right now is you were talking about cryo. And Kristin, can you see Jason's comment?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
He said, I could stand that. Jason, is it okay if I say this? I mean, I don't know if your mother-in-law is going to get the recording, but I have to say it. It's funny. I could stand next to my mother-in-law for 3 minutes. Should be about the same temperature as cryotherapy. And now I feel really bad because it's killing poor Ernie. I spoke about Ernie at the beginning. I said he's in Ontario, Canada. He's the guy who's saying, no, we have to isolate. And now he's dying from Jason's joke. So, Jason, what are you doing? No, that was really good. All right, go on. I didn't mean to interrupt. I did mean to interrupt. That was good, Jason. Thank you.
Yeah, so infrared is really unique, and there's so many neat articles coming out lately about the benefits of infrared. I actually posted some of these articles on the Biohackers page as well as my personal Facebook page if anyone's interested in some of that nerd type data. But basically, you can utilize both far and near infrared light to affect the health of your cell, and in particular, the mitochondria. So the mitochondria are the powerhouse of your cell, and keeping your mitochondria happy and healthy could really be considered like the fountain of youth. It's going to lead to less shortening of telomeres. Telomeres are what ultimately determine our age. So if our telomeres get short enough, we eventually die. That's really the cause of death for everyone. We all die of shortened telomeres. And when you have disease, your telomeres shorten faster. So if you keep your mitochondria happy and healthy, you'll live forever. And by the way, you certainly should never, ever worry about your telomeres getting shorter, because worry and fear makes you age rapidly, and it makes your telomeres get shorter. And then the last thing is PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic frequency. So this is really pulsed magnetism, or magnetic stimulation. So by using this pulsed magnetic field, you can actually change the voltage of your cells. And when your cells get stressed out from, disease or injury or whatever it may be, the voltage actually goes low. So by using pulse magnetism, you can begin to bring the voltage of the cells higher. Pulse magnetism is a game changer. It's, I would have to say, one of my favorite modalities of all of the modalities that we utilize at Biohackers.
So it's really interesting that what we're doing to get people well is what people should be doing to get well. And getting well doesn't only mean taking care of high cholesterol and taking care of high blood pressure. It means being strong enough to fight disease. Remember, those who are sick are those who are most likely to die, but those who are not sick are going to go through this and survive. So what we're talking about now is important in this wave of the COVID-19, but this is important all the time. And I don't think that people should have to wait until there's a crisis to really start to make these changes. So everything we're talking about is not specific to now. I just think now might be the opportunity for you to change your life. Here are the things you want to avoid. Stress loop thinking. Worrying causes cellular degradation, turns off the parasympathetic system, and puts you in adrenal stress. Ditto for anger. Worse yet is resignation to this is it, this is the end, doom, gloom, it's over. Mindset is the most powerful thing in controlling how you make it through. If you live your life in adrenal overload, if you're constantly high stress, if your work keeps you busy and now you're stressing over money, listen, I can't tell you don't worry about money, but I want to tell you we're all in the same boat right now. I mean, cruise ships and movie theaters and restaurants, and we can't worry about it right now. So let's use this time to somehow get better. Panic and fear-mongering will break you down. Sugar will break you down. Alcohol will break you down. Refined, bleached, and processed foods will break you down. Meals that are made up predominantly of high carbohydrate foods will break you down. Soda, fried foods, all of the things on this list are the things you absolutely want to avoid. This is not a time to say, I'm stuck at home, so I'm going to eat junk food. This is a time to get better. So when I talk about mindset and the prefrontal cortex and journaling and gratitude, future pace, create the new you. What will you be on the other side of this? How will you be better? Spend time meditating, living that moment in the future. Journal with a commitment to being thankful, not being focused on the things that are difficult right now, but what are you thankful for? And if you don't know right now, that's only because you don't do this on a regular basis. It's really interesting how, when I start people on this gratitude concept and ask them to keep a gratitude journal, I just come up with one thing you're thankful for. My house. Okay. And if they stay with it for a week, for 10 days, for 14 days, every day they come up with an amazing list of 20 new things that they've never recognized before. Honestly, it's developing a different muscle. Eat metabolic meals made up of the most natural food choices possible. Include protein in every single meal. Consume anti-inflammatory foods and probiotic foods. Exercise. You could do it at home. You could do it outside your house. Short sessions. You don't have to do very, very intense workouts, but challenge yourself and then allow your body to recover. Get into the sunlight. That doesn't mean you should hang out with a group of people. Doesn't mean you should go to Fort Lauderdale Beach, but absolutely get some sun. For those of you who've been through my programs, you know the lymphatic twists. You literally just stand in place and twist and punch yourself in the back. It's incredible how powerful that is in getting toxins out of your body by activating the lymphatic system. Look at what I've shared with you. Create your own supplement protocol. Choose 5 of what I shared with you based on what I shared and based on what you research. Choose 5 and just create a supplement protocol just for yourself. Wash your hands, avoid touching your face, quarantine if you're symptomatic, lots of water if possible, biohack, get IVs, and continue to speak calm and peace to others around you. Kristin, what do you want to say in closing this out? And then I'm going to ask them to do a favor for all of us.
You know, what I'd like to say to everyone is be optimistic. We're going to get to the other side of this. We're all in this together. Be kind. I've heard some terrible things said to people over the past week. Don't be that person. Don't do that. Be kind. We have to elevate. We have to come together. Now's the time.
I told you what my intention was. I wanted to share enough information so you leave here with a sense of, yeah, there's something we can do. We can protect and we can heal. We can be kind, as Kristin said. We could be calm. We could create a better future. But as we move into this uncertain time ahead of us, it isn't life as normal. We do stay open. We are open right now because we have the ability to keep people as safe within these CDC guidelines, and we do have a unique opportunity. But I don't know what's going to happen in the next day or 3 days or 7 days. So here's what I want to ask you. In a moment, when we finish this, it's going to take you to a survey. It's not a long survey. It'll take you all of 45 seconds, honestly. But I want to know what we can do for you, whether you're a health club owner or you're part of my consulting group or you're in my Alive program. What can Kristin and I and Dr. Bleiweiss and our entire network, I mean, there are lots of people that we connect with who are far smarter than I am. What can we do for you in the days and weeks to come to give you peace of mind, to give you information? I'm not with a charge or a fee, but just in terms of people helping people. So I would appreciate if you just stay on and take a minute, 2 minutes at most, and complete that survey. I thank all of you for joining us tonight. I hope we had a little bit of impact, and I suspect that much more will come, whether it's through podcasts or emails or courses we create or more events like this. You just have to let us know what you'd like. We will deliver. Kristin, you're awesome. I love you. Thank you. Everybody who's here, I know that we're all kindred spirits getting through this together, and we will all come out better. Until we speak again, be better, everybody. Bye-bye.